Hey Kids Life Kids, Pastor Steve checking in with my friend Carlos. Hi Carlos, how are you doing today? Carlos, is everything okay?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
I'm so upset I could squash a tomato with my bare hands.
Oh, don't do that. Sounds like that would make a big mess. What's happened that's got you so upset?
I'm having a bad day. Can you pass me that tomato over there?
Sorry you're having a bad day, Carlos. You know what? That's okay. Everybody has a bad day every once in a while. Would you like to tell me about it?
The toy that I was playing with broke.
Oh no. What kind of toy was it? Carlos, can it be fixed?
It was a cool toy. It's called a Zambonitron. It's this Zamboni truck thing that transformed into a robot guy.
What? That sounds cool.
Yeah, I know. And I wanted to fly, but it didn't work, and it crashed and it broke.
Oh no. You wanted a Zambonitron to fly?
There's a picture on the cover of the box, and it was flying on the box. So I just
You just what?
tossed it out the window.
You tossed it out the window? First floor?
Second.
Oh no. Carlos, it sounds like you really are having a bad day. Do you know what we call bad days?
What?
I call them yowzer days.
Really?
Yep, yowzer days.
As in, yowzers. What a day.
Yeah, that's it. You got it. Our shout out today is this: Jesus helps us in hard times. Can you do that with me? Jesus helps us in hard times. Yeah, so some days are easy days. Easy peasy days. Days like those, the sun is shining, it's vacation time, there's yummy things to eat, there's fun, exciting things to do, and people come up to you and give you presents, and then they say, by the way, you are awesome. Those days are awesome days. Those are good days. Not every day is like that. Some days are hard days. Those are the days you feel sad. Those are the days something makes you mad. Those are the days when somebody doesn't listen to you, or doesn't seem to care, or says something mean. Or those are the days when you break a toy that you're playing with, like Carlos. Even worse, those are days when you break a bone in your arm or your toe. Talk about yowzers. But our shout out today is saying that Jesus can help you on those hard days. How does that work? Today we're going to talk about Mark chapter 5. And I want to tell you 4 things that happen right in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. They happen right in a row, and they're going to help us understand what do we mean when we say Jesus helps us in hard times.
Yowzer number 1.
So we're talking about Mark chapter 5 today, but we're going to back it up just a little bit. And I want to tell you one thing that happened right before chapter 5 in chapter 4. Jesus and his friends, the disciples, were in a boat going across the Sea of Galilee. And there was a great storm that came up, such that the wind was blowing and the waves were crashing inside the boat. And the disciples were afraid the boat was going to sink and they were going to die. Fortunately, Jesus was in the boat and they woke up. And Jesus got up and said to the sea and to the wind, "Peace, be still." And in chapter 4, verse 40, this is what it says. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. That was a hard day, but Jesus was there to help them.
Yowzer number 2.
Jesus and his friends, the disciples, continued on to the other side of the lake, and there they met a man who had unclean spirits in him. These evil spirits made the man do crazy things, but it also made him strong. The Bible says that the people in that area put chains on him in order to keep him from hurting others and hurting himself, and it didn't work. It says that he would break the chains and he would howl and hurt himself with rocks until the day that Jesus came and helped him. In chapter 5, verse 8, the Bible says that Jesus said to that man, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." Turns out there are many spirits, but each one obeyed the word of Jesus, and that man was made well. That man was so thankful. He went to all the area and told the people of the good things that God had done for him, and it says that they marveled. When that man needed help the most, Jesus came and helped him.
Yowzer number 3.
So Yowzer number 3 is when Jesus and his friends got back in the boat and went again to the other side where they had started. And when they got off of their boat, they were met by a great crowd of people. And out of that crowd of people, one man came. He was a synagogue official, and his name was Jairus. And he came up to Jesus, and this is what he said. He said, "My little daughter is at the point of death. Come and lay your hands on her so that she may be made well and live." And the Bible says that Jesus went with him. Talk about a hard day. This man's little daughter was dying, but he saw Jesus, and Jesus was going to help him. But hold on to that Yowzer for just a minute, because right when they were walking to Jairus' house to help the girl, somebody else came up with another need. Yowzer number 4.
Yowzer number 4.
Okay, so here's what happened. Right when Jesus was traveling with Jairus to help Jairus' daughter at his house, a woman came up. Now it was really crowded. There was a throng of people, the Bible says. And so there were people walking with Jesus, wanting to hear what he said and to see him. But this woman had been sick. It turns out that she had had a disease that made her bleed for many years, and she had spent money on doctors and folks to help her with her medical problem, and none of it had worked. In fact, she had become worse. But that was the day that she saw Jesus. And though it was so crowded, she said to herself, "If only I can touch his garment, I will be made well." And so she followed him and scrunched through the crowd and reached out and touched him. And immediately the bleeding stopped, and she knew that she had been made well. And then Jesus turned to her, and this is what he said: "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your disease." Jesus knew that power had gone out of him, and he wasn't upset. He was glad this woman had been made well because she came to Jesus, and Jesus helped her. Back to Yowzer number 3. Here's what happened. Jesus was still talking to the woman who had been made well when some friends of Jairus, whose daughter was dying, came and said, You don't have to trouble the teacher anymore, Jairus, because your daughter has died. But Jesus wanted to come to their house anyway. When he arrived there, he went to the girl who had died and took her by the hand and said the words, Talitha Kumi, which means, little girl, I say to you, arise. And immediately she got up and started walking. And it says that the people who were there were overcome with amazement. What just happened on the worst day ever for Jairus and his family? Jesus was there to help them. Jairus had gone to Jesus for help, and Jesus was glad to help, and helped in a way that no one else ever could have done. So I hope that not too many of your days are yowzer days. Once in a while, hard days will come, and when they do, I want you to remember the stories that we talked about today. Do you remember the raging sea? Jesus spoke to that sea, he spoke to that wind, and it was perfectly calm. It obeyed his words. You remember the raging evil spirits in that man? Jesus spoke to them and they obeyed. Every one of them obeyed. And then there was the woman with the raging disease. No one could help her. But she came to Jesus for help, and Jesus healed her disease. By the power of God, Jesus healed that woman. And then the last story, the hardest one of all. Jesus came to the little girl. She had died, but Jesus spoke life into that little girl, and she got up and walked again. Some of our hard days will be super hard, maybe like some of those stories that we listened to today. Some will not be quite so hard. Remember our shout out today? Jesus will help you in the hard times. Jesus will be a friend to you and will help you on your hard days. But here's one thing you need to remember to do. You need to remember to go to Jesus and ask for his help. Will you remember to go to Jesus and ask for his help? The next day, you have a yowzer day. The next day, that's a hard day for you. And just one more thing I want you guys to know. You are awesome. Pastor Steve, signing off.